Welcome all. Am I audible to all of you? Yes, participants, am I audible? Okay. So, as far as today's session is been concerned, I'll share the experiment details over here in just a minute. The presentation will start about our C++ assignments. We have completed all the Python experiments, and in Python previous experiment was related to quicksort, and we have shared the code for quicksort. Okay, so participants, in the previous example, we have studied quicksort with starting with high element. Now we will start the quicksort with sorting of low element over here. That means the pivot will be, instead of array of high, it will be array of low, and we will first run the program, then we'll understand what it was been achieved while run the module. So over here we have the array. You can observe that the array was been discussed, and as per the presentation, we think that the first element in the array is a pivot. So over here we have taken the first element, that 47, as the part of the pivot, and we also printed some debugging information. So over here we have some debugging information for such as I, J, and so on. And here we also print the comparison of pivot. So in the first comparison, 47 was compared with itself and there was no change. Then in second comparison, there was comparison between 47 and 25. So it is printed 47 and 25, and hence it is expected that it will having the next position. So since it is having the nearest position of 47, it is not swapped over there. Then the third comparison is between 35 and 47. So you can observe that 47 is less than 55, therefore no swapping. Again 47 is less than 75, therefore there is no swapping. Again 47 is compared with 35, so over here 47 is naturally greater than 35, so 35 position must be changed. So you can observe that 35 is inserted after 25. Similarly, we have comparison between 47 and 20. So after 35, 47 and 35 and 47, we have comparison between 20 and 47, and finally 45 and 47. So it will take the next position of 35. So 20 will take the next position after 35. We have got it. Then 45 is there, so he will take the next position after this, so it is over here. And finally 47 will replace 45 as the last element in this list. So you can see that 47 is anything left than the pivot, that is 47 is less than the pivot, left hand side, and anything greater than the pivot is to the right hand side. So we have two sublist after the pass one. So you can see this was pass one, and there was first sublist over here. Middle pivot is 47 and the right sublist is 75, 55. Since someone has been joining, will take a minute. Yes, participants able to understand the sublist concept, that is partitioning based on the pivot. We are not talking about the code, but we are thinking that first element is the pivot, that is 47. So anything less than 47 will contribute to the left subtree. Anything contribute to the greater than 47 is contribute to the right subarray. So it is left subarray and right subarray or list. So over here, this sublist 1 will be having a pivot 45 and another sublist 2 will have the pivot as 75. So let us further see what is happening with pivot is 45. So in this sublist 1, pivot is 45 and we are moving further. So 45 is comparing with itself, no change. 45 is naturally greater than 25, so there is a change. Then 45 is greater than 35, it is a change. Then 45 is greater than 20, so all these things will be compared and 45 will take its position over here. So it is greater than 20 and it is lift. It will divide the list again into two halves. One is 45 and less than 45 will become the new sublist and greater than 45 will become the second sublist. So you can see over here the sublist are formed automatically and where the pivot is 45. So this quick sort is all based on the pivot values. Just give me a minute. Yes. Okay, so here we were at dynamic automatic sublisting and we see that the pivot was 45 was tried, 47 was tried, and now the next pivot is we will having the further sublist based on the values are 4. So you can see that the position of the pivot is 4 and anything left than the pivot is the new sublist. So 20, 25, 35 and 45 contribute to the another pivot. So another sublist. The pivot, new pivot for is the lowest one, that is index 0, that is 20. And based on that, there is no change. So anything left to the 20 is nothing. So it is null. So it is showing null. And right of 20 is 35 and 25. So it is no need of any exchanges or any sublist creation. So when we merge everything after this, no results are found, we find that after merging all the sublist, you will finally get a sorted list. That is the sorted outcome in ascending order. Okay, as far as the program is been concerned, we will see the programming details over here. The first part is naturally the partitioning part. Second part is related to the pivot, that is exchange the pivot value with the greater item specified by I. Then we have the quick sort, which is based on the high values, and we see that if it is low is less than high, then we are partitioning the contents. And we are calling the quicksort recursively. So when we are calling, if the pi index, that the partition index we can say, is greater than 0, then we are recursively calling it from, so we are passing the array first. So this is the array as the input, then the low and the upper bound. So low is nothing but the lower bound, that is a nearly index 0, and whatever is to the right of low is nothing but the upper bound, maybe the maximum of the index. Then when we got the pivot values, then the array is naturally divided into two parts. So you can see the first partition of the array is above, and second partition is been called in the next quicksort. Here pi is the lower bound and the length of the array is -2 is the upper bound of that pivot. So when we called the partition, so first we called the partition for checking whether the partition is successful, and then we are calling the quicksort. So in quicksort we are calling the array followed by the lower bound is 0 and upper bound is nothing but the length of the array. So as per as the partition has been concerned, we have already discussed how partition of the arrays are being conducted. A pivot is selected and anything less than the pivot is shifted to the left of the pivot, and anything greater than the pivot is shifted to the right side of the pivot. So only thing, this swapping concept is most important. Okay, so participants, have you tried the code which was given in the previous session? Quicksort code which we have given in the previous session. Okay, it is expected that you should try it online. Now we will share this code for quicksort of starting with the pivot as index 0 at index 0. So this is the new code for quicksort. All the code is shared for education purpose. So you try it and you can modify your own code. If you are able to write your own code, that is the outcome of the course. So we are expecting that you are able to write your own code by studying the given code over here. Yes, so I think all the code of today's quicksort program is been provided in you to you in the chat box. You can take down and practice it. Now let us move to something. One second, I'll just stop the sharing first. Yes, so now let us move to something new to the concept, and we will go to read a new problem statement which is very interesting. So I'll share the screen. Yes, participants able to view the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, everyone? Okay. So this is related to Group C program. And Group C, we have to complete at least 2 programs. And the first one is related to a ticket booking system. So it is there is a Cinemax theater. So it is a Cinemax theater, and we have to implement using C++ program. So we have to write a C++ program for this. There are 10 rows and 7 seats in each row. So how many seats will be there? Yes, participants. There are 10 rows and 7 seats in each row. So total number of seats in the Cinemax theater will be 10 into 7 is 70. Is it okay? Yes, participants. Able to see the screen or
Yes,
not?
sir.
Or shall I make it bigger? Now is it okay? Visible to you, all of you? Yes?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So mostly we have to first read the problem statement. We can see that there are 10 rows and 7 seats in each row. So if you think in the each row as an array, so we can see that it is a two-dimensional array of 10 rows and 7 columns. So there can be total of 70 seats in the Cinemax theater. Then something is written. What it is? Doubly circular linked list has to be maintained. So what is this doubly circular linked list? So today we'll talk about this doubly circular linked list, but when the problem is related to static memory allocation, we don't need linked list. So whoever is designed the concept, I think it is quite clear that it can be solved with two-dimensional array directly. So we'll study both the methods. That is, either we are using two-dimensional arrays because it is static contents. The seats are not going to change. So over here, it is expected that we should use the data structure, that is doubly circular linked list, to maintain to keep the track of free seats at the row. So the overall system is related to random booking. So random booking, any at online system you can consider any person wants to book a particular seat, so he can select the row, and in that row he may be selecting a middle seat or he may be selecting the first seat at in the beginning or so. So some people select seats nearer to the exit point. Some people select seats in the middle of the row. So there is a choice. It may happen that there may be a random distribution of contents for reservation. And after that, there may be situation that some seats are free and we have to display on demand which are the list of available seats to be displayed. So which seats are being available, that is which are not booked will be displayed. Then seats which are to be booked. So the seats which are empty and unreserved can be displayed, and some seats which are reserved can also be displayed. Also, there is a possibility that the user may cancel his tickets, and third option, it is expected that there will be cancellation of the booking. So this is the task related to a Cinemax theater. I recommend all of you to first use static memory allocation instead of dynamic, but today we'll study the concept of dynamic memory allocation in C++. So let us start me with a little basic knowledge of what is static and what is dynamic. So it is nearly an introduction to unit number 4. So in C++ or C, we declare something like this: array of size 10. So when we declare it in this way, we simply mean that array is of type integer and the size of array is 10. So it is okay. What we understand that the size of array is 10. Now, when we just say array, we talk about the base address of the array or list. Now, what is this base address? Again, there is a confusion how to store the base address. I create a pointer star ptr and ptr is equal to array. So what it simply means? It simply means the base address of the array is stored in the pointer ptr, and if we go and print, so if I print this ptr, what will be the output? We'll get the address of array. So we can say over here beginning address of array. And if you want the value to be printed, so use print star ptr. So it will print the value of, it is same as we are printing array of 0. Everyone at least understood the first concept of pointer and arrays. Yes, participants. I'll begin it again. So in C programming or C++, we declare the array as int array of 10, where 10 is the size of the array. So when the size of the array is fixed, so we say it is fixed size, then such an array is called as static array. Everyone understood what is static array? Or any question first? Yes, participants, are you able to understand the concept of static array or static memory?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when we write array int array is equal to 10, it has a fixed size and it is called a static array. Memory allocation to such array is done at compile time. So this is most important. So your program has two behaviors. One is the compile time behavior and another is runtime behavior. So when memory is allocated at runtime of the program, it is called as dynamic memory allocation. So two terms we have studied. One is static memory allocation. So over here, fixed size static memory allocation. Then second is runtime memory allocation, is also called as dynamic memory allocation. So when we talk about arrays and we have the size is fixed, then we are working with static memory allocation, which is done at compile time. And when the program is running and it needs some memory, then it is using dynamic memory allocation. So the keywords or the functions that are responsible for dynamic memory allocation are new keyword in C++. So new keyword is used for dynamic memory allocation, and in C programming you can use malloc. So this malloc function can be used in C programming, or you can use new keyword to allocate memory at runtime to the pointers. So if you see that we are working with the pointer, when I say int ptr star ptr, we declare a pointer over here. So this is nothing but we declare a pointer where it has no memory. So pointer with no memory allocation. So when I say memory allocation, it simply says that it will have some address and it will have some storage location, that is address at it will be storing some value. So when I just declare a pointer int star ptr, it simply means it is a pointer that will store address of a particular variable, but it is currently allocated no memory. So when I say ptr is equal to array, then the address of that array is assigned to the pointer. Everyone getting the concept? Okay, so the pointer is allocated some integer. It is a type of integer pointer, but it has no values. What is going to store is the address, and this address, when we say array is equal to ptr, some address of the array is stored, base address of the array is stored in ptr. And when you want to print the value of that array, you just go for star ptr. Yes, participants, to begin with the programming, we should at least know the basics of pointer and static memory allocation and dynamic memory allocation. So you can see that ptr is assigned a value of array, base address of the array at runtime. So we can say this is the runtime behavior of the array and it is not compile time. Okay, so we don't know initially what is the base address of the array. After compiling the program, then and then only you'll get the base address allocated to the ptr. Now, if you don't know the size of the array, what will happen? So you can declare some new arrays using the pointers. So how to do that? We'll to see in today's programming assignment. Let us share the screen for today's programming. I'll just change the sharing screen. Okay, so let us share the screen for today's assignment, which is related to C++. Now, as far as the online compiler is concerned, some pointer operations are not been working with it. So we will work with the simple program, and I'll run it on the online turbo compiler itself. Now let us see whether we are able to see the TurboComp console properly. Yes, participants able to view the screen? Yes, everyone able to view the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So over here, we are writing one more remark, that is the program is for turbo compiler. So we said turbo C. And sometimes we have Linux compilers. The code will have little slight change in Linux, but it is compiled on turbo C and running on compose C. So as the programming is concerned with C++, we include the first header file, that is hash include iostream.h. So the header file for C++ is nothing but iostream.h. Then we create a structure. So as the subject is concerned with data structure, the first time you will encounter with structure. So structure is quite similar to classes, but in classes we have some attributes as well as functions embedded within the class. But in structure, we have only the attributes of a particular objects. We don't have functions associated with it. That is the simple difference we can say. Okay, so instead of the keyword class, we are using the keyword struct. That is the first difference. Everyone understood the first difference? Okay, so instead of class, we are using the keyword struct, and we are having three attributes within that. The name of the structure is node, and we have having three attributes. One is int status. So I have deliberately taken the attribute as status, so which is associated with that theater or ticket system. Okay, so this ticket system has the status is if it is 1, then the ticket the seat has been booked, and if the status is 0, then it is unreserved. Okay, so we have a status of the particular seat, either it is booked or either it is not booked, and each seat can be represented by the node. Okay, then you will observe that in the list or in the row of the list there is some nodes, that is some seats next to you. So we have the next pointer, but the next pointer will give the address of the next node or next seat. And if you have the left side, we say that is previous seat. Okay, so next pointer is pointing to the next seat, that is to the right seat of the particular book seat, and previous pointer over here can point to the previous node or the previous seats as per as the ticket booking system is been concerned. Now if each row is represented by a head, okay, then it is obvious every list will have some end. Every list will start with some node or some what we can say some chair which is having an id name head. So it can start with row 1, row 2, row 3 and so on. So we call it as a head node, that is the beginning of the list, and we are marking as end, that is the end of the list or end of the row. Then we are adding nodes. So adding a node means what? We are adding a chair next to the previous one. Everyone getting this? It is dynamic programming. So there is no, initially there is no nodes and no head. The data is blank. So what you have to do? First create a row, and in that row add some seats. Everyone able to understand this? Or shall we make some diagrammatic representation? Yes, participants? Okay. So if you are understanding dynamic programming, we will work with dynamic memory allocation, how it is. So initially we find that the head node is not there. So the theater is empty. And when we create a head node, we find that theater was empty. So it is a null. So if it is null, the temporary node which is the parameter to the add node is head is equal to t. So the first node which is added to the theater will be act as the tree or head. Okay, so we say in the most of the cases we say this is the root, that is the starting point of the list, and if there is no other chair or no other nodes, then we say the head node itself is the end node. Okay, if there is only one seat in the theater, then we say that the head node is same as end node. Okay, and when anything next to the end node will be null. So since there is only one chair is installed in the theater, next to that chair will be null. Nothing will be there. Now, taking a condition that if there is already a head node added and you want to add more nodes to it dynamically, so what we will do? We will find that we'll search for the end of the list and end arrow next is equal to t. So over here, after the end of the list, we are appending a new chair to the list, that is t. So after that, t end is equal to t. That means we have to shift the endpoint one position to the previous head, and we find that end arrow next is equal to null. So this is the most important point, that the next point of end should be set to null, because anything after end is nothing. So this statement where null is to be inserted is most important. Now we say one node is added. So as we don't know in dynamic programming what is the size of the array initially, we say that one node is added, one node is added, one node is added. So total nodes will be counted afterwards. Over here, after adding the nodes, we are going to display the contents. So how to display? We start again while head. So starting from the head node, we have the reference, that is one is the head and another is nothing but the tail or end. So we just say while head cout head arrow status. So what we want the status, whether it is booked or not booked, and how many seats are there. So it will display all the contents. So head is equal to head arrow next. So head is going to move till the end, and after end arrow next is null, so it will going to stop. So this is nothing but the function while function, which is written over here, is termed as, it is called as traversing. You can take down what the meaning of that. It is called as traversing a linked list. Everyone got what it is doing? Traversing means visiting the nodes in the list at least once. The process is called as traversing of the list. Yes, everyone got three functions. So we have written this first function is first structure. We have declared the structure, then we have declared the head node and end nodes, then we have added one elements to the array or the list using add nodes, and then we are displaying the contents using the while loop, that is the traversing function. Now let us create the linked list. So first we just say welcome to linked list, n number of nodes is equal to 5. So over here n can be dynamically called. So you can take at runtime using cin function. So I just put a remark over here. You can take cin value of n. So you can take any value at runtime. You can take 5, 10, 20, 50, whatever you want. And so we use the for loop for I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Now the first important point, we are not creating any arrays, we are just creating nodes. You remember this, we are not creating array, we are creating nodes. So one node is created at a time. So we declare a temporary node t and another t1. Difference is star t is a pointer of type node and t1 is a variable of type node. Difference is the t1 star t is different and t1 is different. Okay, so star t is nothing but it is a pointer. So whenever pointer is used, we can allocate it dynamic memory allocation. So over here we are allocating dynamic memory. So the keyword for dynamic memory is nothing but new. So T is equal to new of type node. Everyone getting dynamic memory allocation? Yes, participants? So the memory required for storage of the structure will be allocated to T using the new keyword. And if it is successfully allocated, we set T arrow status is equal to I plus 1. So initially I is equal to 0, 0 plus 1 will be 1. When I will be incremented to 2, sorry, I will increment to 1, the output of the status will be 2. And naturally, it is maximum value of I will be 4. So the status will be 5. And what we are passing add node with the parameter of T. That means we have created the node, assigned the status to that node, and added that node to the theater or the list. Yes, participants understood the main program? Yes, everyone understood the main program, or shall we go it again? Little difficult it is. First, let me clear up. Are you known to the basic concept of C++? Yes, all of you? Yes, see, if I don't know your status, whether you are able to understand or whether you are not able to understand, then it will go very difficult for me to judge. So the course outcome will be very difficult for me. So you just responded that either you are familiar with the basic coding of C++ or not.
Yes, sir, we are.
Yeah, okay. So that is better. Let you know the basic concept of C++, and here we are going to just display the contents. So after add nodes, we are displaying the contents. Now we'll use the Turbo C++ for compiler for running our programs. So it is little difficult to see, but we can work on it. So the program is related to ll.c++. The same program is coded over here in C++ Turbo C, same display function and all those. I'll just run it, and I hope the program is visible to all of you. Is the screen visible? Yes, participants?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So see the output. Welcome to the linked list. We have added nodes over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 5 nodes are being added. And the values which were added is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Yes. So now what we are able to do using this linked list, we are able to create a single row or a single array, and it is naturally a dynamic array. Now let us see something more to it. I'll work with the same program and we will see what will be another advantage of this. So I create another function. So over here, we out of the for loop, we are creating another function that is T dynamic memory allocation, and again we have to check the status. If T, I put the status as T arrow status. So status is some integer value. I put some 1000, and see what will happen. This node will also be added. So I have to add the value of this status. So T is to be added. So I wrote add node T. Now let us see what will happen to our program. We have added that code, and yes, it is over here. So let us compile the program first and run it. So you can see after 5,000 has been added. So this has very significant importance. We have used some optimum techniques, that we have used the starting node and ending node. You can use the traversing method over here. So the easy insertion or adding the node at the end of the list is very easy. Now one more challenge is there. Now suppose I'll write a challenge over here. So what is the challenge or operations to be performed? First is we are able to first create the list, that is okay. So we are able to create the list. Second challenge, we are able to append. Yes. Second is we are able to append contents, append to the list. Just a minute. Now what is the third challenge over here is, can we insert new element within the list? So this is my upcoming challenge. How can I insert a new element into the list? Now fourth challenge, how to search an element in the linked list. Everyone able to understand what are the challenges? So we have to append the contents, then we have to insert new contents to the list, then search. So shall we search for a particular number? So if you find that the status is 1, then it is booked. That is the searching. So searching of elements. Now the most important challenge, which is not possible generally in arrays. So it is deletion of elements in list. Now what will happen if I delete some of the contents of the list? What will be happen? We will have space free. We will have some space which is free, and memory of that node can be reused. Okay, so these are the few basic operations as far as linked list is been concerned. Somebody is joined now. Okay, so as far as linked list is been concerned, we have these basic operations. So when you creation of the list, today we studied. Then second, append the contents of the list. We also completed this. Now what is remaining? Inserting new elements within the list. Where to insert? Beginning of the list, at the end of the list, or in the middle of the list. So over here we have three positions. One is in the beginning, another is in the middle of the linked list, or another is at the end of the linked list. So if it is to be inserted at the end, it is just an append operation. If you want to insert it at the beginning, then we have to shift the head nodes, and if you want to insert into the middle, then what operations we are to be performed is this the process to be studied. Then search an element in the linked list. How to do search? So today we'll complete this search operation also. Fifth is how to delete element to in order to free some spaces. So which is not possible in array. Array size is allocated, so size cannot be reduced, neither size cannot be increased. It is fixed size. But in dynamic memory allocation, that is linked list, it is possible to delete some elements, that is free the nodes. Now the last point is traversing. What is traversing? It is visiting each and every element of the node at least once. It's called as traversing. So we say at least once is most important. Multiple times visiting is also possible, but traversing at least once through the list is termed as traversing of the list. Okay, so when we say it is a list, we can traverse in how many ways? So first is we can traverse from left to right. That is, we can move from lower bound to upper bound. That is traversing. Or another method of traversing, we can move from the end of the list to the head of the list. Reverse, उल्टा जाना है. Okay, so this is when we design the data structure for left to right and right to left, that is hand to head, we say it is a doubly linked list. And currently we are only using the next pointer, we are not using the previous pointer. So you can see when we create, we are just using the next pointer, we are not using the previous pointer, and therefore it is called as singly linked list. So whatever this example is quoted over here, it is an example of singly linked list, and it will move from the left to the right. That means from the lower bound for head of the list, we can say, to the end of the list. So these words are quite better. Yes, participants understood the basic functions as far as linked list is been concerned. So these are the few basic functions that are concerned with linked list. First is create it, insert it, or append it, and then traversing. So we have completed this 1, 2, and 6, and now let us search some contents within the linked list. Okay, so I'm writing a simple function, that is void search. And what to search? We will be searching an element, that is the status. So int st, that is status 1, which is to be searched. And naturally we have the flag, so I put int fl is equal to 0. So this flag makes me feel that whether the data is found or not. And we have to apply the traversing function. So traversing means over here visiting the code at least once. So I have to, for searching sequentially, we are going to nothing but traverse through each and node for the status. So the condition is if head arrow status equal to status 1. So status 1 is the input to the search function, and if it is found, we just declare data found in linked list. Okay. And if it is not found, just traverse the head to head arrow next, and Now let us break the while loop if we find the content. So I break the while loop over here, break if the data is found, and if data is not found, we will move head is equal to head arrow left. Now in order to search for the particular data, we just called after display, that is search. And what to search? Suppose I want to search the element 3 semicolon, and now after this while loop we have to declare the result. If fl equal to 0, that is the flag is equal to 0, we have to see out, that is print. What to print? Data not found. So we'll print data not found. So this new function we have added, that is related to search, and let us check whether it will work in our Turbo C compiler. Let us compile the program. Yes, there is no error, and run. So let us check the output. So he says that data is found. Yes, the 3 is there in the linked list, and you get the output as data is found. Everyone able to understand the search function which is we have currently written, which is using the traversing of the list. It is using the traversing concept of the linked list. Yes, participants able to understand the searching of a particular element. So it is 3, sorry, int status 1 if head arrow status equal to status data found in the list. So what we have sent, search 3. Okay. So here the head node is been navigated at the end. We have to use this search prior to over here. So display function will make a little change, since we are using the head node. So let's say a pointer is there, struct node will create a pointer star t1, and t1 is equal to head. So we'll get the initial value of the head, and that will be stored, and head is equal to t1. Now the program will work. काय झालं काय सर?
ते पासवर्ड आपण टाकू का मी ते
हा टाका टाका ना
किंवा चेंज नंतर करणार
तो सेम टाका सगळ्यांना.
एकच
हा एकच ठेवा, कुठला तरी एक ठेवा. ओके
नंतर तुम्ही चेंज करणार.
हा. So if after display we have to restore the head position as t1, so we have just modified it so that after display also we are able to search. And now let us see whether the program is updated. Okay, yes, it is updated. Let us compile and run the program. Yes, so you can see that data is found in the linked list, but data not found is also found. So over here you should use return statement is more better than instead of break. So in display function or search function we will just modify one more thing. So instead of break we will use the return statement. So it will go back. So this, instead of break, it will use the return function. Let us compile the code and run it. So now you can see the error is also gone. So once you are familiar with the programming concept, whenever there is an error, you can easily remove it. Yes, participants, have we successfully completed the search function now? So over here, you can save the contents, and we have successfully completed the search function. Now suppose you want to find that anything which is not available over there. So let us see whether we are able to find 33 or 333 and compile our program. First run it. So you see data is not found. So as this is related to dynamic memory allocation, the concept is very interesting. I'll share the code with you. You practice it on Turbo C++ program or a Turbo C++ compiler for better results. Yes, participants, able to understand at least what has been happened. Okay, so I'll share the code with you. Code for singular linked list. So it is again for study purpose. Yes, participants, able to get the code from the chat box. You can get the code from the chat box. So like Python, the C++ compilers are also very smart, and over here sometimes you don't need indentation, but if you write the indented code, that will add readability to a code. So it is recommended that you should use a good readable code. Yes, everyone got the code in the chat box. So I recommend all of you practice with this code, and if there is any ambiguity or any questions you have in your mind, what is happened or what is not unclear, you can ask me in the tomorrow's session. So our code for the today's session is C0, C4, and it is, I think it is 11th assignment. Yes, so it is attendance code is C0, 04, 11. So if you have no questions, we will leave the meeting over here. Thank you very much.